From a massive 7-mile project to an insane project costing over $5 billion, these record breakers are changing the concept of mega projects in ways we've never seen before. Hold on tight, because today we're diving into the biggest mega projects in the United States. Coming in at number 17 is a new tower that stands as the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. One World Trade Center, also known as the Freedom Tower, is right in the center of New York City. It was built where the original World Trade Center stood before it was destroyed on September 11, 2001. Work on this impressive building started in 2006. The team took their time to make sure everything was done just right. They wanted to respect the memory of the original towers. After many years of hard work, the tower was finished in November 2014. That means the whole process took more than 8 years. There were a lot of tricky engineering problems to solve along the way, but the team was committed to making something really special. Located in Lower Manhattan, One World Trade Center is a central spot in the city. It's right where commerce, culture, and remembrance collide. The address is 285 Fulton Street. It's positioned in New York's financial district, close to the National September 11th Memorial and Museum, which makes it even more significant. In terms of size, this tower is massive. It reaches a height of 1,776 feet, or 541 meters. That number is a nod to when America became independent. With its spire, it stands as the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. The building has 104 stories and covers about 3.5 million square feet, about 325,000 square meters of space. Inside, there are offices, broadcasting areas, and observation decks where people can enjoy amazing views of the city. One World Trade Center was built to hold a lot of people. It has space for thousands of workers in the offices. Plus, the observation decks are a huge draw for tourists, with millions visiting each year. The building is equipped with modern safety systems and fast elevators to ensure it runs smoothly and meets the needs of everyone who uses it. Globally, One World Trade Center is ranked among the tallest buildings in the world. When it was finished, it was the 6th tallest building on the planet, and it still ranks high today. Its height is impressive, but its cool design is just as important. The building has a strong core and a base designed to be super sturdy, which adds to its beauty and strength. The cost to build One World Trade Center was huge, around $3.19 billion. This figure shows just how complicated it is to build a skyscraper. The money went toward advanced engineering, high-quality materials, and tight safety standards. The goal was to create a building that represents modern construction at its best. The famous architectural firm, Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, SOM, led the design and build process, with David Childs as the main architect. The design features an octagonal base that transitions into a series of 8 triangles, topped with a glass section. This unique shape not only looks impressive, but also makes the building strong against things like wind. But beyond its impressive design and height, One World Trade Center means a lot more. It symbolizes the strength of New York City and the entire country. This building represents the will to rebuild and continue moving forward, while keeping the memories of those who were lost alive. It's a reminder of resilience and hope, standing tall in the city. Now, let's talk about a place that mixes smart design and technology. This corporate campus has one of the coolest designs you've ever seen. In the middle of Silicon Valley, there's an amazing place called Apple Park. It's home to Apple Inc. and is located at 1 Apple Parkway in Cupertino, California. This campus shows how much the company cares about design and being kind to the environment. Apple Park all started back in 2006. Steve Jobs, one of the co-founders, had a dream for a headquarters that would represent Apple's focus on innovation. In 2011, he shared this idea with the Cupertino City Council. He proposed a modern campus that could fit thousands of employees while creating a pleasant atmosphere. They broke ground on the project in 2014, and by April 2017, the main building, often called the Ring, welcomed its first employees. The size of Apple Park is impressive, covering about 175 acres. The main building is a circular structure that has 4 stories and spans around 2.8 million square feet. Inside, it comfortably houses over 12,000 employees. The design encourages teamwork and creativity. The campus also includes a 1,000-seat underground auditorium named the Steve Jobs Theater, a visitor center, and lots of green areas. In fact, 80% of the site is green space with drought-resistant trees and local plants. This makes the whole place calm and eco-friendly. Apple Park combines technology and nature beautifully. The main building has plenty of glass walls and a curved shape, giving stunning views of the area around it. It also has all kinds of top-notch facilities. There are labs for research and development, fitness centers, and a wellness center. Everything is set up to help employees feel good and get things done. Building Apple Park was no small task. The price tag ended up being about $5 billion, which makes it one of the priciest corporate headquarters ever constructed. This big investment shows how serious Apple is about creating a space that reflects its values. They did face some bumps along the way, like budget issues and delays. But in the end, what they built is truly remarkable. In size and capacity, Apple Park is one of the largest corporate campuses in the US. Its generous design and high-tech facilities have set a new standard for what corporate headquarters can be. Plus, its focus on being sustainable makes it a great example for future developments. But beyond just buildings and spaces, Apple Park is a symbol of Apple's commitment to innovation and quality. The layout is made to encourage teamwork and creativity. Open workspaces and shared areas make it easy for employees to chat and share ideas. This design reflects Apple's belief in mixing design, technology, and nature to create experiences that truly improve our lives. Speaking about innovation, Manhattan has upped their game with an exciting project that is changing urban life. Hudson Yards in New York City is a big example of what people can accomplish when they set their minds to it. It's one of the largest private real estate projects in US history. This development has changed how we see Manhattan. It has transformed the skyline and raised the bar for city planning. The construction kicked off on December 4, 2012. They started with 10 Hudson Yards, the first building. They had a big challenge ahead since there were already train tracks below. So they built 2 giant platforms over 30 active train tracks, including 3 rail tunnels. This means trains can still run below while building happens above. The eastern part of the platform was finished in October 2015. The western part followed in 2016. The first tower, 10 Hudson Yards, opened on May 31, 2016, marking a big moment for the project. Phase 1 of the Eastern Yard was officially finished on March 15, 2019. By late 2022, they hadn't started on the Western Yard, Phase 2, yet. They're still figuring out plans and timelines. Hudson Yards is located right on the west side of Manhattan. It's between 10th and 12th Avenues and 30th and 34th Streets. This area is about 28 acres big. It connects the Chelsea and Hell's Kitchen neighborhoods, fitting perfectly into the city's landscape. Plus, it's close to the High Line, a 1.45-mile park that is lifted off the ground. This park is a fantastic spot for city folks to enjoy nature without leaving the urban zone. The size of Hudson Yards is impressive. Once everything is done, the project will bring in over 18 million square feet of space for businesses and living. This includes more than 6 million square feet for offices. There's also a retail center covering 750,000 square feet, packed with restaurants, cafes, shops and bars. About 5,000 homes will be there too. They are even planning to build a public school for 750 kids and 14 acres of parks for everyone to enjoy. All of this makes Hudson Yards a mini city within New York. The area can handle a lot of people too. It's built to welcome around 65,000 visitors, workers and residents each day. This busy crowd helps create a lively atmosphere, making it feel like a community. There are also cultural spots, like the Shed, which is a center for art and performances. This helps make Hudson Yards a social and cultural hotspot in the city. When we look at its size and features, Hudson Yards is not only the largest private real estate project in the United States, but also ranks high on the global stage. It's compared to other big developments like Battersea Power Station in London and the Lujiazui area in Shanghai. Its creative design and size have attracted attention from around the world. Many see it as a model for what could be done in future city projects elsewhere. The money put into Hudson Yards is huge. The project cost about $25 billion. This shows the level of planning and ambition behind it. Such a large investment reflects confidence in New York's real estate market and shines a light on the expected returns from this complex urban space. Funding was not just for the buildings, but also for the roads, parks and services that make the area better for all. The development includes several impressive buildings. 10 Hudson Yards is the first towering structure. It stands 52 stories tall and houses many well-known companies. Next to it is 30 Hudson Yards, which reaches 80 stories and is one of the tallest buildings in New York City. It offers office space and a sky-high observation deck with amazing views. There are also residential towers like 15 Hudson Yards and 35 Hudson Yards for luxury living. The shops and restaurants at Hudson Yards provide a mix of dining and shopping options. One standout feature is Vessel, an eye-catching piece of interactive art created by Thomas Heatherwick, which has become a must-see for visitors. Building Hudson Yards came with its fair share of tough challenges, especially the task of building the platform over live train tracks. This needed smart solutions to keep everything safe and sturdy while letting trains operate below. The platform is quite a feat, made up of 16 bridges. They used modern building techniques to support the heavyweight structures on top. They also planned ahead for possible future projects, like the Gateway program, including space for future rail tunnels right underneath. Hudson Yards changed the skyline of Manhattan. It's huge and ambitious in real estate. But wait till you see California's insane bridge project. It's one of the most expensive public works ever in the state. The San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge Eastern Span Replacement is a huge project that really shows what modern engineering can do. It all started because the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake revealed that the old Eastern Span wasn't safe anymore. After that quake, there was a big push to make the bridge safer. This new span was built to keep people moving safely between San Francisco and Oakland. They kicked off the construction on January 29, 2002. Before that, a lot of planning and designing took place. It took more than 10 years to finish everything. Finally, the bridge opened to traffic on September 2, 2013. That's a long time. But it needed careful work and teamwork from many people to turn those plans into reality. This bridge is really important for the Bay Area, connecting San Francisco and Oakland. It helps carry folks and goods across the bay. The new span especially focuses on the stretch from Yerba Buena Island to Oakland. That part of the bridge had to be upgraded to handle earthquakes better. The new eastern span is about 2.2 miles long. It uses something called a self-anchored suspension design. This cool design not only makes the bridge pretty to look at, but also tough enough to stand up to shaking from earthquakes. The bridge is wide enough for 10 lanes of traffic. That helps keep things moving smoothly for roughly 270,000 vehicles that drive over it every day. Plus, there's a separate path for pedestrians and cyclists. It's a great space for walkers and bike riders to enjoy amazing views of the bay. With its 10 lanes, this bridge is built to handle a lot of cars. The design includes special emergency lanes. Those lanes help get to incidents quickly without slowing down everyone else on the road. The bike path, called the Alexander Zuckerman Bike Path, runs from Oakland to Yerba Buena Island. It gives cyclists and pedestrians a safe area to get around, while also supporting green transportation in the area. This eastern span replacement is one of the biggest infrastructure projects in the US. It ended up costing around $6.5 billion, which makes it the priciest public works project ever in California. That big price tag shows how massive the project was and how advanced the engineering had to be for the area's earthquake risks. At one point, this bridge's design was also the world's longest self-anchored suspension bridge. It was a big deal in the world of engineering. Looking back, the money side of things is remarkable too. Back in 1995, they thought it would only cost about $250 million to just fix up the old bridge. As it turned out, they needed to replace the whole thing to meet tough safety and design needs. So, the costs jumped up to $6.5 billion. This shows just how tricky big construction projects can be, especially when they push the boundaries of design. Building this new eastern span came with a lot of tough challenges. They had to put a giant bridge over water without messing up traffic below. Choosing a self-anchored suspension design was different and needed a lot of smart engineering, since there were no traditional anchor points. They also had to stick to strict safety standards to make sure the bridge could handle any earthquakes that might come. Besides just being a way for cars to cross, the new eastern span has become a symbol for the Bay Area. It shows both strength and creativity. The bridge looks sleek, and the addition of the bike and pedestrian path has made it a popular spot for both locals and visitors. Despite the sleekness of this project, it's nothing compared to this next project. It's a massive infrastructure project that involved burying an entire major highway underground. The Boston Big Dig, officially called the Central Artery Project, is one of the biggest projects ever done in the US. Located right in the middle of Boston, Massachusetts, this project aimed to fix the terrible traffic problems caused by the elevated highway known as the Central Artery that cut right through downtown. The main goal was to move this busy highway underground. This change would reconnect neighborhoods and give life back to parts of the city. Stretching for 7.5 miles, the Big Dig included building 161 lane miles of highway. Roughly half of this new road system is now underground. Thomas P. O'Neill Jr. Tunnel now carries Interstate 93 below downtown. Then there's the Ted Williams Tunnel, which connects Interstate 90 to Logan International Airport. One standout feature of the project is the Leonard P. Zakim Bunker Hill Memorial Bridge, a stunning cable-stayed bridge over the Charles River that has become a well-known symbol of Boston. With the Big Dig, Boston saw a big change in traffic. The old Central Artery was a 6-lane highway. It was famous for its jams and slowdowns. The new underground highway created 8 to 10 lanes, which made a big difference in how smoothly cars moved through the city. There were also fewer on- and off-ramps, cutting the number from 27 to 14. This meant drivers could get on and off the highway much more easily. Thanks to these upgrades, not only has traffic improved, but the air has also gotten cleaner because there are fewer cars idling in congestion. The Big Dig is the largest and most complicated highway project ever done in the USA. Money was a huge topic when it came to the Big Dig. It was first estimated to cost $2.8 billion back in 1982, but as work continued, costs soared, and the final price tag ended up being over $8.08 billion in 1982 dollars. If you adjust for inflation, that's about $21.5 billion today. The reasons for the big increase in costs included unexpected challenges, delays, and inflation itself. Despite these financial troubles, finishing the project has brought great benefits. Traffic is better, safety has improved, and new public spaces have been created. One of those is the Rose Kennedy Greenway, which has really transformed the area. The central artery was moved underground, and this has changed Boston in many positive ways. It helped reconnect neighborhoods that had been cut off for many years, and it has helped bring communities closer together. More than 45 new public parks and plazas were created in the newly freed space. This has made the city prettier and given both locals and visitors more places to enjoy nature. But, like many big projects, the Big Dig faced a lot of problems and some arguments. There were many challenges during construction, like engineering issues, worries about the environment, and even some legal battles. One big controversy was over how to cross the Charles River. Environmentalists wanted a tunnel to keep the bridge from ruining the view, but the cost of that made the city choose a different design. Cambridge didn't like the new design, and even took legal action, which led to changes. In the end, Swiss engineer Christian Menn came up with the design for the Leonard P. Zakim Bunker Hill Memorial Bridge, known for its unique cable-stayed look. The project also dealt with safety and building quality issues. In 2006, tragedy struck when a section of the ceiling in the Ted Williams Tunnel fell, killing a driver. This led to investigations about how safe the construction was and made work harder for the contractors involved, who ended up settling to fix what was wrong. The Big Dig changed traffic in Boston and linked up neighborhoods that were cut off by highways. But brace up, because there's another insane project that's making waves. It's the biggest airport in the US by land. Denver International Airport is about 25 miles northeast of downtown Denver, Colorado. It's a huge airport that really shows what modern buildings can do. Covering over 33,500 acres, it's the biggest airport in the US by land size and the second largest in the world. Only King Fahd International Airport in Saudi Arabia is larger. The airport features 6 runways, with the standout being runway 16R/34L. This runway is 16,000 feet long, making it the longest public runway in North America. That's impressive. Because of this massive setup, the airport can handle all kinds of planes, from small regional jets to the big intercontinental ones. This helps connect people to many places, both in the US and around the world. Speaking of people, the airport is a busy spot for travelers. In 2021, it was the 3rd busiest airport globally, serving around 58.8 million passengers. That's a lot of people traveling, showing how important the airport is for air travel. Passengers can fly to over 210 destinations in 14 countries from this airport. Being centrally located in the US is a big plus for Den. Most major US cities are just a 3.5-hour flight away. This makes it easier for folks to move around the country. Also, it helps with international flights, making it a key spot for global business. Building Denver International Airport was a huge task. It was meant to replace the old Stapleton Airport. At first, it was supposed to open in 1993, but there were many delays and it finally opened in 1995. The cost went way up too, ending at about $4.8 billion, which was much more than they first thought. Despite the rough start, the airport has become super important for Colorado's economy. It brings in over $36 billion every year. It's more than just an airport. It really helps the local economy grow. There are also projects happening to make it even better for passengers and expand its space. One exciting project is about adding more runways. The airport has enough land to double its runways from 6 to 12, which could allow it to serve over 100 million travelers each year. Plus, there's even extra land for other businesses to develop, which can be used in ways that suit the airport. In addition to all these features, the airport is known for its unique look. The Epperson terminal has a cool tent-like roof that looks like the snowy Rocky Mountains. This design isn't just practical for passengers, it also shows off Colorado's beautiful scenery and culture. On top of all this, the airport cares about the environment. It has a special management system that focuses on being eco-friendly, making it the only airport in the US with this certification. They really want to keep their impact on the environment low and constantly look for better ways to do this. More recently, the airport has also jumped into renewable energy projects. A big step was a 2-megawatt solar power system installed in 2008. This system covers 7.5 acres and makes over 3 million kilowatt-hours of clean energy a year. That's a lot of clean power. It also cuts down carbon emissions by more than 6.3 million pounds each year, showing that the airport takes its role in protecting the environment seriously. Denver International Airport is growing and helping millions of travelers every year. Coming in at number 11 is a stadium that not only has space to accommodate over 48,000 fans, it has hosted everything from baseball games to the famous WrestleMania. T-Mobile Park is in Seattle, Washington. It's a great example of modern design and how much the city loves baseball. The park opened its doors in 1999 and quickly became a big part of the sports scene in the Pacific Northwest. Before T-Mobile Park existed, the Seattle Mariners played in the Kingdom. By the mid-1990s, the Kingdom was getting old. It wasn't the best place for Major League Baseball, so there were talks about building a new stadium. After many discussions and some important decisions, they broke ground on March 8, 1997. Fast forward to July 15, 1999, and the first game was played, marking a fresh start for baseball fans in Seattle. You can find T-Mobile Park in the SoDo neighborhood, which is a busy area. It sits between Dave Niehaus Way, Edgar Martinez Drive, Royal Brougham Way, and the BNSF railroad tracks. This location is super convenient and close to downtown Seattle. It's easy for fans and visitors to get there. Plus, being near the city brings together sports, culture, and a lively atmosphere. When it comes to size, T-Mobile Park is quite impressive. It can fit up to 47,929 fans for baseball games. That's a lot of people. If it were to host football games, it can fit about 30,144 fans. The biggest crowd ever at the stadium was 54,097 during WrestleMania 19 in 2003. It shows how flexible the venue is for different events. Even though T-Mobile Park isn't the biggest stadium around, it ranks well in the US. Its cool features, like a retractable roof and comfy seating, make it one of the best places to watch baseball. The roof is especially handy since Seattle weather can be all over the place. Fans can enjoy games without worrying about rain. Building T-Mobile Park wasn't cheap. It cost about $517 million. That's a lot of money. The funds came from various sources. There were taxes on food and drinks in King County restaurants and bars, a car rental charge, a ticket tax, plus some cash from the Mariners owners. All this shows how much the community wanted to keep Major League Baseball in Seattle. The design of T-Mobile Park came from the architectural firm NBBJ, along with 360 Architecture. They worked hard to give the stadium a fresh yet classic look. The structural engineers from Magnuson Clemencic Associates made sure the park is safe and strong. Hunt Kiewit was in charge of the construction to turn those designs into reality. T-Mobile Park isn't just for baseball. It has hosted many events over the years, like the 2001 Seattle Bowl and various concerts. Yet, the T-Mobile Park is nothing compared to a building constructed using a massive tunnel boring machine that weighed over 3,000 tons and was over 300 feet long. The Port Miami Tunnel in Florida is quite an amazing project. It's a big step for engineering and shows what can be done with large construction jobs in the US. This tunnel was built to make it easier to get to one of the busiest ports in the country. It helps to smooth out traffic in downtown Miami and supports the local economy too. Let's talk about where the tunnel is. It sits below Biscayne Bay and connects Watson Island, which is on the mainland, to Dodge Island. Dodge Island is where the Port of Miami is located. With this tunnel, heavy trucks and buses that usually take tourists to cruise ships can avoid the busy streets of downtown Miami. This change helps reduce traffic jams and makes it safer for everyone, including drivers and people walking around. The tunnel is made up of 2 tubes. Each one is about 3,900 feet long and 41 feet wide. At its lowest point, the tunnel goes about 120 feet down under the water. Each tube has 2 lanes for vehicles. This design helps make traffic flow smoothly in and out of the port. A lot of planning went into building these tunnels to make sure they are safe and last a long time. Now, let's look at how this tunnel improves things at the port. It really speeds up operations. The dedicated lanes for trucks and buses cut down travel time. This is super important for the Port of Miami, which is a major center for trade and tourism. Because the tunnel can handle a lot of traffic, it helps the port stay competitive and ready for future growth. When we compare the Port Miami Tunnel to similar projects around the US and also around the world, it stands out. Sure, it's not the longest or deepest tunnel out there, but building it wasn't easy. The team had to dig under a busy shipping area while dealing with Miami's tricky ground. Finishing this project has earned it praise as a good example of teamwork between public and private groups and smart engineering. Building the tunnel did come with some serious costs. The whole project set back about $1.1 billion. This covers everything from design to construction and all the work that went into it. The money came from a mix of sources, thanks to a partnership that included the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, Miami-Dade County, the City of Miami, and some private businesses. This way of sharing the costs and risks helped get the tunnel built. The construction itself was impressive. They used a special tunnel boring machine called Harriet to create the 2 tunnels under Biscayne Bay. This machine is huge. It measures more than 540 feet long and weighs over 2,500 tons. Harriet was designed to work well in the tough ground conditions they faced during digging. Work started in November 2011. They finished the first tunnel by August 2012 and the second one by May 2013. After that, they did more roadway work and set up systems before finally opening the tunnel for traffic on August 3, 2014. This whole project was done through a public-private partnership, or P3, involving FDOT and Miami Access Tunnel, LLC, or MAT. With this deal, MAT takes care of the design, construction, financing, operation and maintenance of the tunnel. They will run the tunnel for 30 years and in return, FDOT will pay them each year. This setup helps keep the tunnel in great shape for a long time, which is a big win for everyone. Since the Port Miami Tunnel opened, it has brought many benefits to the area. It gives direct access to the port, which has greatly reduced traffic jams in downtown Miami. This makes life better for both locals and visitors. Plus, with better access, the port runs more smoothly and helps the local economy grow. Miami is solidified as a key spot for international trade and tourism. Also, This project shows how effective public-private partnerships can be for getting complex infrastructure work done on time and within budget. But if you thought the Port Miami Tunnel was impressive, wait until you see this next project. It's a bridge that defies gravity, soaring across a massive waterway with super-tall cable-stayed spans. The new Tappan Zee Bridge, officially called the Governor Mario M. Cuomo Bridge, is quite the engineering feat. It crosses the Hudson River in New York and replaced the old Tappan Zee Bridge, which was falling apart. This new bridge is essential for improving traffic and setting a new standard for bridge design. Building this bridge started in 2013, and the whole thing wrapped up in 2018. The westbound side opened in August 2017, and then the eastbound side followed in September 2018. These dates show just how hard everyone worked to get the old bridge out of the way and give people a safe way to cross the river quickly. The Governor Mario M. Cuomo Bridge is about 20 miles north of New York City, linking South Nyack in Rockland County to Tarrytown in Westchester County. This spot is super important. The bridge is like a lifeline for commuters, allowing many people and goods to travel between the east and west sides of the Hudson River. It makes life easier for everyone. Now let's talk about size. This bridge is huge. It stretches 3.1 miles long, or about 5 kilometers. That puts it among the longest bridges in the US. It's designed with 2 cable-stayed spans, and its towers soar up to 419 feet tall, which is about 128 meters. Not only is it strong, but it also looks great against the Hudson River backdrop. Traffic isn't a problem here. The bridge has 8 lanes for cars, with 4 going each way. It even has spaces for emergencies. But that's not all. There's a special path just for bikes and pedestrians, encouraging folks to walk or bike more often. This setup helps meet today's traffic needs and also prepares for future growth. When you look at its ranking, the Governor Mario M. Cuomo Bridge is something special, both here and around the world. It's one of the largest bridge projects in the US and one of the widest cable-stayed bridges anywhere. The construction used advanced materials and methods to make sure it lasts a long time and can stand up to tough weather. Every big project comes with a price tag. The bridge cost nearly $4 billion, making it one of the priciest infrastructure projects in the country. This money shows how important the bridge is for transport and the economy. Tappan Zee Constructors, a group of engineering and construction companies, manage the bridge's construction. They used smart design techniques to make things run smoother and save some cash. One cool thing they used was the left coast lifter, a giant floating crane. This helped lift massive parts into place and showed just how high-tech the project was. But this bridge does more than just help with traffic. It's also changed the communities nearby in a big way. The path for biking and walking gives people new ways to enjoy time outside and connect with each other. The bridge also has nice lights and design features that make the area look better. As for naming, the decision to call it the Governor Mario M. Cuomo Bridge sparked some discussions. Some people thought it was a great way to honor a notable political figure. Others felt that keeping the original name, Tappan Zee, was important because of its history and cultural roots. But these are just whispers compared to the spectacle unfolding in one of the world's busiest cities. While we're on the topic of ambitious infrastructure, let's shift gears to Nevada, where a 3-mile tunnel is being bored beneath Lake Mead to safeguard the vital flow of water. The Lake Mead Third Intake Project is an impressive engineering effort near Boulder City, Nevada. It really shows how committed we are to getting important resources, especially water. This huge project started because of some serious droughts and falling water levels in Lake Mead. This lake is the main source of water for Las Vegas Valley. Work on the third intake kicked off in 2008 and took over 7 years. The Southern Nevada Water Authority, SNWA, led the charge since they saw how crucial it was to ensure people had enough reliable water as lake levels kept dropping. A big moment came in September 2015 when they finally got the intake up and running. Now they can pull water from Lake Mead even when it gets really low. The intake is smartly placed close to Boulder City. It's built deep under Lake Mead. They had to make a tunnel that stretches 3 miles beneath the lakebed. This connects to the intake that sits at about 860 feet above sea level. This clever design allows them to reach water even if the lake drops below the old intake points that are higher up. The size of this project is mind-blowing. To dig out the tunnel, they used a giant tunnel boring machine with a diameter of 24 feet. It had to cut through tricky rock layers under a massive amount of water. Plus, they anchored the intake structure to the lakebed using over 1,000 truckloads of concrete, making sure it stays strong and safe under a lot of water pressure. In addition, the third intake works with another system called the Low Lake Level Pumping Station. This pumping station was finished in 2020 and started operating in April 2022. It can pump up to 900 million gallons of water every day to the SNWA's treatment facilities, helping keep the water flowing for Las Vegas Valley even as the lake's levels drop. When you compare it to other projects, the Lake Mead third intake project is one of a kind. It is one of the most ambitious water projects in the US, especially because it really focuses on providing water access during tough droughts. Worldwide, it joins other important water projects aimed at dealing with water shortages in dry places. The cost of this huge project was quite high. It took about $817 million to build the third intake. The low lake level pumping station cost $522 million, and they actually came in under budget with that one. Altogether, they spent more than $1.3 billion on both projects. Building this project was far from easy. Engineers and workers had to deal with tricky ground conditions as they tunneled through broken rock beneath the lake. They ran into delays and rising costs because of these tough situations. Sadly, the project also saw a tragic loss when a worker died, reminding everyone of the dangers linked to such big projects. Now that the third intake and its pumping station are finished, they've made a big difference in the area. They ensure that the Las Vegas Valley has a steady water supply, even as Lake Mead hits record lows. This new infrastructure supports the community against the ongoing drought conditions affecting the Colorado River Basin. It shows just how important it is to manage water resources wisely. Let's move to Texas, where we explore a massive $1 billion connector with a shocking 24 lanes. The Dallas-Fort Worth connector is impressive. This project was made to tackle the growing traffic problems in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, especially near the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. The connector helps ease traffic jams and makes travel safer and easier for everyone in one of the fastest growing places in the country. They started building the DFW Connector in February 2010. Before that, they spent a lot of time planning and designing it. Northgate Constructors, a team made up of Kiewit and Zachary Construction Corporation, was chosen to work on the project. They used a method called design build. This means they could design and build the project at the same time. It made everything go faster. They finished the project in March 2014, nearly a year earlier than planned, showing just how well the teams worked together. The DFW Connector is right in the middle of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It includes a bunch of highways and interchanges around the northern side of the airport. It covers parts of state highways 114 and 121, going through Grapevine, Southlake, and Irving. This region is super busy with lots of cars traveling for both local and long-distance journeys. Being near one of the busiest airports in the world makes it even more important. The size of the DFW Connector is amazing. The first phase was about 8.4 miles long. It doubled how much road space was available in that area. They built new main lanes, frontage roads, and special Texpress lanes. These are managed lanes that change prices based on how busy the traffic is. This means they can help traffic move better. At its widest, the project has 24 lanes, making it ready for a huge number of vehicles. The DFW Connector was designed to handle tons of traffic. It focused on current needs and thought about how much traffic would grow in the future. The Texpress lanes really help by letting drivers pay different tolls based on traffic conditions. This means less waiting and more reliable travel, especially when everyone is on the road at the same time. When you talk about big infrastructure projects, the DFW Connector stands out. It cost around $1.02 billion, which made it one of the largest transportation projects in Texas when it was done. People noticed how big and complex the project was. It set an example for how to do things right with public-private partnerships. Money was a big part of making the DFW Connector happen. It got funding from the state and federal governments. They even received money from the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, ARRA. This support wasn't just crucial for finishing the project on time. It also kicked off local economic growth while the construction was happening. Of course, building the DFW Connector wasn't easy. It needed a lot of teamwork from different partners, including state and local groups, private builders, and local communities. Keeping traffic moving during the work was super important. It required clever engineering and careful planning to keep people traveling with as little disruption as possible. Plus, working so near the airport added challenges related to security and getting access. Now that the DFW Connector is finished, it's changed things for the better in the area. It has cut down on traffic in a region that used to have a lot of delays. People can now get to where they need to go much faster, which improves their daily lives. Also, with better roads, businesses can grow and trade gets easier, making the whole area more vibrant and ready for the future. The Dallas-Fort Worth Connector really made a difference for travel. But coming in at number 6 is a $3.3 billion tunnel, set to be the world's largest diameter bored tunnel, completed in 2019, featuring the world's largest diameter bored tunnel. Imagine being in the middle of downtown Seattle. You look up at the tall buildings and see the waterfront. Underneath you is a big feat of engineering, the Alaskan Way Viaduct replacement tunnel. This massive project is one of the biggest in the US. The story of this tunnel starts back in 2011. The Washington State Department of Transportation, WSDOT, kicked off the Alaskan Way Viaduct replacement program. The old viaduct was built in the 1950s and was just not safe anymore. It couldn't handle the earthquakes that could hit Seattle. Plus, it wasn't meeting the needs of the growing city. They decided to build a modern tunnel that would make things safer and help improve the waterfront. Construction started in July 2013 when Bertha, a giant tunnel boring machine, arrived. Bertha was the biggest earth pressure balance tunnel boring machine back then, with a cutting head 57.5 feet wide. This giant machine began digging deep under downtown Seattle, creating a path for the new tunnel. The team ran into many problems along the way, including delays and some tough challenges. But they kept at it. By April 2017, they finished boring the tunnel. It was a big win for the project. This tunnel runs about 1.76 miles long, or 2.8 kilometers. That makes it one of the longest tunnels like this in the US. It's designed with a double deck, having 6 lanes of traffic, 3 lanes in each direction. This design was key to help reduce the traffic jams in the city and make commutes easier for everyone. The tunnel is big, with a diameter of 57.5 feet, or 17.5 meters. That's lots of room for cars and safety features. Building this tunnel required digging out around 1.5 million cubic yards of dirt. That really shows how huge this project was. Of course, it didn't come cheap. The tunnel cost about $3.3 billion to build. This money matters because it helps improve Seattle's infrastructure and has great benefits for the economy over time. The funds came from different sources, including state, federal, and local money. The Port of Seattle also contributed, along with toll revenues from the tunnel. Finally, the tunnel opened to traffic on February 4, 2019. This was a big deal because it replaced the old viaduct. Now, Seattle enjoys a new way of getting around. The project did more than just improve how people travel. It also kick-started the transformation of the waterfront. There have been developments in parks, public spaces, and shops. This has made the waterfront a lively place for both locals and visitors. So, what used to be just a busy highway is now a fresh, vibrant destination for everyone in the city. Think the Alaskan Way Tunnel is the biggest thing around? Buckle up, because we're about to explore the costliest transportation hub ever made. In the middle of New York City, surrounded by tall buildings and the busy energy of city life, you'll find the World Trade Center Transportation Hub. This place is not just a transit station. The story of this amazing building began after the tragic events of September 11, 2001. The old World Trade Center was gone, and the city had a huge task ahead: rebuild and recover. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey realized that they needed a modern transit hub. It had to stand for hope and renewal. In January 2004, the architect Santiago Calatrava shared his creative design. He was inspired by the wings of a dove, symbolizing peace and new beginnings. Construction kicked off in 2005. It was a huge project that lasted for 10 years and changed the look of Lower Manhattan. The team faced many problems along the way, including tricky building issues and delays, but they stayed focused on their goal. They wanted to create a hub that would be a symbol of what the city could achieve together. When it was finally done, the transportation hub covered about 800,000 square feet. That's about the same size as Grand Central Station. It was built to handle up to 250,000 people each day. Various transportation options like path trains, the subway, and many buses come together here. This hub makes commuting easier for countless daily travelers and helps keep the city's economy strong. The cost of building this hub was around $4 billion. That made it one of the priciest train stations in the country. This high price came from the complex design and special materials. One example, they used steel made especially in Italy. The unique wing-like shape of the structure needed smart engineering to make it look great, while also working well. Inside the hub, you'll find white-ribbed arches that meet at a big open circle. This part lets in lots of natural light, making the space feel bright and airy. It's not just pretty, it represents the city's openness and hopeful future. Inside, the design includes wide open spaces without columns. This gives a feeling of freedom. The mix of glass and steel creates a modern look while keeping the building safe and strong. But the hub is more than a place to catch a train. It stands for the strength of New Yorkers and their spirit to rebuild. People from all over the world come to see it. They're drawn by not just how it looks, but also what it means. It's a symbol of hope and recovery in the city. In the big picture, the transportation hub is one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects in the US. Its size and intricate design help it stand out, making it a key landmark in New York City and beyond. While many praise the bold design, some criticize the high costs and the time it took to finish. These conversations make us think about how to balance grand ideas and staying smart with our money. Next up is an amazing engineering project that keeps a whole city safe. What's more, it's one of the biggest civil engineering jobs ever. After Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans in 2005, the city had a lot of work to do. The storm caused massive damage, and rebuilding was no small task. One big focus was making sure they could handle storms better in the future. The levees failed during Katrina, which led to a huge project called the Hurricane and Storm Damage Risk Reduction System, HSDRRS. This system is one of the largest engineering projects in the US. Work on the HSDRRS kicked off in 2006, and the US Army Corps of Engineers took the lead. The plan was to protect the city like never before. They aimed to create a defense strong enough to handle a storm surge that has only a 1% chance of happening in a given year. To reach this goal, they built and improved around 133 miles of protective features. This included levees, flood walls, floodgates, and pump stations. It was a huge job that needed many engineering companies and thousands of workers to get it done. The HSDRRS covers a wide area. It stretches across 5 parishes around New Orleans: Orleans, Jefferson, St. Bernard, St. Charles, and Plaquemines. The different parts of this system are placed to protect important areas like homes, businesses, and key infrastructure from floods and storm surges. Some notable parts of the system include the Inner Harbor Navigation Canal, IHNC, Lake-Borgne Surge Barrier, which is the biggest civil project ever in Louisiana. Another important feature is the Seabrook Floodgate, which helps keep storm surges from Lake Pontchartrain from flooding the city. Building the HSDRRS cost about $14.5 billion, which shows just how big and complex the project was. A lot of money came from the federal government, along with state and local funds. This shows a strong commitment to keeping New Orleans safe and prepared for storms. When the HSDRRS was finished in 2018, people praised it as an incredible feat of engineering. The design used modern technologies and strong materials to make sure the system would last. For example, the IHNC Lake-Borgne Surge Barrier has a massive gate that can handle the pressure of a big storm. The floodwalls and levees were made with reinforced concrete and steel to protect against erosion and any breakdowns. The HSDRRS has built a strong shield against storm surges for New Orleans. It can tackle surges from storms that happen once every 100 years, giving the area a good safety buffer. But experts have warned that things like rising sea levels and land sinking could affect how well the system works over time. So, there are plans for regular maintenance and possible upgrades to keep it working effectively. Looking at the bigger picture, the HSDRRS is one of the most important projects in US history. It matches other huge engineering projects like the Hoover Dam and the interstate highway system. People from far and wide have been interested in it. Many experts are studying how it was designed and built to use as a blueprint for flood protection elsewhere. The completion of the HSDRRS changed life in New Orleans for the better. Residents and businesses feel a lot safer now, which has made it easier to invest in and revitalize neighborhoods that were once prone to flooding. The system also helps the city handle future hurricanes, supporting emergency services and recovery when storms hit. From enhancing safety to improving sustainability, our next focus is a $1.3 billion state-of-the-art transportation hub in New Orleans. In New Orleans, Louisiana, big changes are happening at the Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport. A brand new terminal has been built, and it's one of the largest projects of its kind in the US. This new terminal shows how strong and determined the city is to move forward. The story of this new terminal started back in December 2015. The New Orleans Aviation Board and local city leaders decided it was time to build a new terminal. The old one was getting old and couldn't keep up with the growing number of passengers. They planned to invest about $598 million in this new facility, which was to have 2 concourses and 30 gates. But as work progressed, the plan became even bigger, adding more gates to a total of 35 to handle future travel needs. Construction kicked off in January 2016, and by November 2019, the terminal was ready for travelers. This new terminal has a lot to offer. It's really big, covering around 740,000 square feet. With its 3 concourses and 35 gates, it's designed to make your travel smooth and enjoyable. The layout of the terminal is open, which makes moving around easy. Plus, there are many local restaurants and shops. Travelers can grab a bite or buy a souvenir, showcasing the tasty food and lively culture of New Orleans. There's also a new security checkpoint that speeds things up for travelers, making the process more efficient and cutting down on wait times. And when it comes to luggage, there's an inline baggage system that makes handling bags easier. The design of the terminal is also special. Its crescent shape takes inspiration from the winding Mississippi River, which plays a huge role in the city's history. Large glass walls let in plenty of natural light, making the inside feel bright and welcoming. They also used local materials and art, which honors the rich culture and artistic scene of New Orleans. Building this terminal was a massive job. It cost around $1.3 billion. This huge investment shows how committed the city is to giving travelers an excellent experience. The money for this project came from both public and private sources, including bonds and federal grants. But the impact of the new terminal goes beyond just the construction. Once open, it is expected to bring in more travelers and tourists, which will help boost the city's economy. When it comes to capacity, this new terminal puts the airport on the map among top airports in the US. With 35 gates and room to grow, it's set up to handle a lot more passengers. This is important since New Orleans is becoming more popular for both tourists and businesses. With all the modern features, travel is expected to be more enjoyable, which should attract new airlines and more passengers. The new terminal has made a huge difference for New Orleans. It symbolizes how the city can rise up and think ahead, especially after tough times like Hurricane Katrina. Not only does it make travel better for visitors, but it also improves how the city is seen worldwide. We're moving from this massive transportation hub to a lively spot in Brooklyn. This new project is a real highlight in New York. It's got 675,000 square feet of space. The Barclays Center started as a plan to breathe new life into the Prospect Heights neighborhood. Back in 2009, some important decisions were made, allowing the project to move forward. They broke ground on March 11, 2010. This was the start of a major change for Brooklyn. Things picked up quickly. They put the first steel piece in place on November 23, 2010. Then, on January 12, 2012, they finished building the top of the arena. Just 9 months later, the doors opened to the public on September 21, 2012. The Barclays Center was ready to shine. You can find the Barclays Center at 620 Atlantic Avenue. It's in a great spot, making it super easy to get there. People can hop on the subway or take the Long Island Railroad right next to it. This makes it a main spot for entertainment in the city. The Barclays Center was designed by a talented team called Shop Architects. The outside is covered in 12,000 special steel panels that remind you of the historic brownstones in Brooklyn. This design nicely fits in with the area, but also catches your eye in a big way. Inside, you'll find a huge arena that can seat 17,732 people for basketball games. For hockey, it drops a bit to 15,795. and for concerts, it can hold up to 19,000 fans. That means it can host all kinds of events, from sports games to concerts featuring big-name artists and even conventions. The sheer size of the Barclays Center is jaw-dropping. It spans about 675,000 square feet. This arena is part of a big project called Pacific Park Brooklyn, which is worth an impressive $4.9 billion. They want to turn the area into a lively community with homes, offices and shops all around. The cost to build the Barclays Center itself was around $1 billion. That shows just how important this place is for the area's growth and excitement. Since opening, the Barclays Center has become a key spot for fun in Brooklyn. It's the home for the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA and the New York Liberty in the WNBA. Besides basketball, the arena has seen concerts from stars like Jay-Z and Beyoncé. It has hosted boxing matches, college basketball games, and family-friendly shows too. It's become a go-to location for all sorts of entertainment in New York City. But the Barclays Center is not just about events. It has a real impact on the area too. The arena has helped bring the Prospect Heights neighborhood back to life. More businesses and people are moving in, boosting the local economy. The project has created thousands of jobs during and after construction. This adds to the lively feel of the community. The Barclays Center is also recognized for taking care of the environment. It received LEED Silver certification, which means it follows strict guidelines for being green and saving energy. This shows that the arena is committed not just to entertainment, but also to sustainability. In short, the Barclays Center is much more than a venue. It's a vital part of Brooklyn's identity and growth. Whether you're cheering for a team, enjoying a concert, or simply soaking in the atmosphere, it's a special place that truly represents the heart of the community. If you thought the last project was cool, get ready for the moment we've all been waiting for. A moment when we unveil one of the largest buildings in the world. Out in the hot and dry Nevada desert, something big is happening. Tesla has set up a huge facility that would change how the whole world thinks about energy and transportation. This place is called Gigafactory 1. The story kicks off back in July 2014. That's when Tesla shared its dream of a massive manufacturing plant in northern Nevada. They called it Gigafactory 1. For Tesla, this factory is a big part of their goal to push the world towards using more clean energy. Construction started in full swing in January 2015. Tesla and its team were hoping to finish the factory by 2018. They chose a spot in Story County, Nevada, because it was close to major highways and had a welcoming business climate. The first thing they did was clear the land. They needed a solid base for the large building that was about to rise from the dry ground. Fast forward to March 2016, and they had already knocked out about 14% of the building area. They had around 600 workers on the site, making it a busy place. By September of the same year, the footprint of the building had grown to a massive 1.9 million square feet. You could really see how big and ambitious this project was, thanks to the hard work people were putting in. When all was done, Gigafactory 1 covered an eye-popping 5.4 million square feet, making it one of the largest buildings by area in the world. This huge space is dedicated to making electric vehicle batteries, energy storage products, and parts for cars. Tesla made sure to use smart manufacturing techniques and eco-friendly practices, showing that they care about both progress and the planet. Gigafactory 1's production ability is truly impressive too. By the middle of 2018, it was cranking out batteries at a rate of 20 gigawatt-hours, GWh, each year. At that time, it was the highest volume battery factory on the planet. This was a big boost for meeting the growing need for electric vehicles and energy storage, putting Tesla at the forefront of the renewable energy scene. The impact of Gigafactory 1 on the local economy has been huge. Tesla has pumped more than $6.2 billion into Nevada for this project. Building the factory alone created 17,000 construction jobs. Plus, it sparked the creation of thousands more jobs in the nearby communities. This has played a big part in improving the local economy. When you look at its importance, Gigafactory 1 is a major achievement, both in the US and around the globe. Its size and output have set new standards for manufacturing, especially in renewable energy. The factory's ability to produce batteries at such an impressive scale has made a real difference, not just for Tesla, but for the electric vehicle world as a whole. Building Gigafactory 1 cost a lot, up to $5 billion. This hefty price tag shows how big and bold the project really was. Tesla is serious about changing how we think about energy and transportation. When they finished Gigafactory 1, it marked a big turning point in the whole world's move towards using clean energy. It proved that large-scale renewable energy production could really work, paving the way for better electric vehicle tech and energy solutions in the future. The success of this project has inspired similar efforts all over the globe, helping speed up the shift to more sustainable energy. Now, let's change things up. The size and goals of these projects are truly mind-blowing. If you're excited about what's coming next, go ahead and give this video a like.